We are going to be talking about Gothic literature first. Once again, you do need to take notes, so hopefully you still have your notebook out in front of you, and you will need to write down the 10 elements of Gothic literature when we get to them. Gothic fiction combines elements of horror and romance, and it was pretty much invented by Horace Walpole, who wrote The Castle of Otranto in 1764. There are some aspects of Dracula that are Gothic in nature, while there are other parts of Dracula that are just horror. The elements of Gothic fiction. Okay, we're going to go over these one by one. You do need to write them down. Feel free to pause or do a screenshot if you'd like, but you will need them in your notes. For reference, I'm going to talk about Disney's Beauty and the Beast as an example. Beauty and the Beast is a typical Gothic film and fits in perfectly for all of the elements of Gothic fiction. Hopefully you have seen it. If not, feel free to pause this and go run off and watch it. It's a wonderful film. First of all, the first element is a setting in a castle or a mansion. And this castle is often old or ruined and has some type of secret passages or nearby caves. For instance, Beauty and the Beast, you have the very large castle in the middle of the creepy woods. You also have an entire wing that is, sort of in ruins. No one goes into it. She's not allowed to go into it. So it adds that air of mystery to things, which brings us to number 2, the atmosphere of mystery and suspense. Again, there's the setting, the mood, all help contribute to this atmosphere of mystery and suspense. The characters themselves often don't know what's going on. We as the reader may or may not know what's going on. The third element is an ancient prophecy. Usually this prophecy or rumor is somewhat obscure or unclear. People may sort of vaguely refer to things. The main character in particular may be in the dark about it. In Beauty and the Beast, there is the rose which is losing its petals, and he has to find true love or have someone love him before the last petal falls, and that is the prophecy. Number 4 is omens, portents, and visions. Anytime the main character has a dream where they see something and, there's bad omens, storms could be a bad omen of something. Beauty and the Beast, she finds her way there during the storm. So you see that. Number 5 is supernatural or otherwise inexplicable events. In Beauty and the Beast, obviously, you have talking dishes. So that would obviously be a supernatural event. You will see supernatural events in Dracula as well. Number 6 is high and even overwrought emotion. The characters often suffer from raw nerves, feelings of impending doom, anger, sorrow, surprise, and terror. A lot of the emotions are a little bit over the top. They are sad, they are shocked, they are surprised. Beauty and her father have this emotional separation scene when she gets to the castle and she frees him. Then when she looks in the mirror, which again would be a reference to number 4 because the mirror gives visions, and number 5 because the mirror is supernatural. When she looks in the mirror and she sees her father in the snow, she has to run off and go save him. So there's a lot of high emotions. Even Gaston has very high emotions in the film. So you see a lot of that in your characters. They're frequently overcome by their emotions. Element number 7 is women in distress. The female characters often face events that leave them fainting, terrified, screaming, etc. You see this in Beauty and the Beast. She doesn't faint, but she's scared. She has to run off. She gets angry about dinner. So you see her obviously facing some difficult events. Number 8 ties very closely with number 7, which is women threatened by powerful, impulsive, tyrannical males. Number 8 for Beauty and the Beast, Gaston is the powerful, impulsive, and tyrannical male. He is trying to force her into marriage. And this was a very frequent theme in Victorian Gothic literature. A woman trying to be forced into marriage by some evil male. He threatens her father and says her father will go into a mental institution if she doesn't marry him. So she is in distress over that. She has very little choice in the matter and must somehow find her way out of it. Number 9 is the metonymy of gloom and horror. Metonymy is a subtype of metaphor where one thing stands for another. Gothic fiction often includes a lot of these things: howling wind, doors grating, lights mysteriously going on or going out, thunder and lightning, eerie sounds, clanking chains, doors slamming shut, the baying of distant dogs or wolves, crazed laughter off in the distance. When beauty first gets to the castle, there's the light that's moving up ahead. Once again, it occurs during a storm with howling wind. Wolves actually chased her to get to the castle. Actually, I think wolves chased her father. I'm sorry. Wolves chased her father in order to get to the castle. So you see a lot of these elements in all Gothic fiction. The final thing is the vocabulary of the Gothic, which you don't necessarily see in Beauty and the Beast, but you will see in Dracula. There are lots of words that describe terror, fear, surprise, haste, anger, and mystery. And they tend to be common words over different texts, which you'll notice once we read Dracula and then when we read Jane Eyre. Those are your 10 elements of Gothic fiction. Some examples of Gothic literature include Jekyll and Hyde, Jane Eyre, which we will be reading, Wuthering Heights, which you read next year, Frankenstein. If you've ever seen Phantom of the Opera, that is Gothic in nature, Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier, Psycho, Alfred Hitchcock's very famous film, The Shining, which is Stephen King's novel and film. Stephen King has a lot of Gothic literature. The 13th Tale, which is a more contemporary piece of literature. You see a lot of Gothic elements in some horror movies today.